Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Faith Steinberg. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And the glorious owner and wonderful owner of Stampin' with Faith, and you are here for another great card tutorial. This is our card for this week. We are in our January of 2021 series. We are currently focusing on the Jar of Flowers bundle, which is the Jar of Flowers stamp set and the Jar of Flowers punch from the annual catalog. This stamp set, as you can see, it does not have any sentiments in there, just the floral images. So we have chosen to use the Something for Everything December of 2019 paper pumpkin stamp set. It has some really great ones in there. So I'll be using that today, and my ink color today is going to be the basic gray. So while I am here and while I get myself set up, I am going to switch the camera view over to our card supplies first. Give me a moment. There you go. And I'm going to have you take a screenshot of that, of the card supplies that you will need. And then I will give you a screenshot here in a second. Go ahead and take another screenshot, and that is the measurements you will need. I do always recommend that you watch the video all the way through the first time, because you have those screenshots ready. Then go prepare your pieces and parts, and then actually make the card. So you get to hang out with me twice. All right, let's go ahead and get us started. I'm going to toss that over there. And I'm just going to move some things on my desk for just a second. All right. So as you can see, I've got our pieces and parts laid out. And if you read in the supplies needed, this is a mason jar shaker dome from the annual catalog as well. They actually come clear. And what I have done ahead of time is I've given this 3 coats of acrylic paint. Here is my 30 inches of linen thread. And this is really easy. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to start with my inside. So I never want you guys to forget to gussy up your envelopes too. Gussy up the inside. I did not on the videos. But remember, I always go back and gussy them up based on who I'm giving them to and that sort of thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 5 1/4 by 4 Whisper White layer that was listed in my supply list, or in the measurements list. And I am going to just put some adhesive on that. And then we're going to put that on our inside layer right here. Easy peasy. Okay, then I'm going to fold this in. I'm going to grab Mr. Hobnobs. He is our bone folder. And we're just going to give him a good crease. I am working with a photopolymer stamp set with the Jar of Flowers. So under here I also have my Stampin' with Faith stamp mat as well. So if you see the paper sliding, that's why. All right, now I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pull in I have an extra layer there. This is the crumb cake layer. Now on my sample, I used basic gray. So I'm using a tiny bit different paper and color layout here, just to show you how good it looks in different papers. The focus is the Jar of Flowers stamp set, but we're also using the In Good Taste Designer Series paper. And I will show you at the end how both of the color schemes look together. All right, so this piece is going to be next. Only we're going to set our card base aside for just a second. this is the Designer Series paper. When I called it the textured brick wall, this is the piece that I was referencing. And then this is your wall piece. So you're going to cut 1 inch from here. So what I do is flip it over on the back, measure from here to 1 inch, make a little tick mark. And then when I put this into my trimmer, because my trimmer goes straight, my corner is going to go from the top corner to that 1 inch mark I made and then slice it off. All right, let's go ahead and get some adhesive on this part. We will need our jar punch, and I don't know that I put that in our supply list. I did put jar of flowers, so hopefully you have your punch handy also. And I'm just going to line that up flush with the sides and bottom. So then what it does is it mimics kind of the look of a wall here, and this being the floor. It kind of gives you that, I don't know, dimensional edge here. All right, let's go ahead. Let me move this. And so I'm going to pull in that punch, and you're going to choose, do you want your punch to be centered or a little off-centered? And I'm going to do mine a little off-centered to the right. Just a little. I didn't do too far. Save this jar. We're going to be using it on the next card. So stay tuned for week 3, card 2. It will use that piece that you just punched. All right, now we are going to bring in our shaker dome. And we're going to remove the release paper from the front first. Toss that, and then we're going to just lay that paper right over that mason jar opening. So the punch fits that mason jar shaker dome perfectly. There's a tiny bit of wiggle room in there, so don't worry. Okay. We're going to flip that over. I'm not even going to worry about putting anything inside of here. You won't see it. So we're not going to make this actually into a shaker. This is meant more to be, look like milk glass actually. Now we're going to grab, and I apologize. So this is why I tell you to watch the video first, because I put the mason jar on and we need our linen thread first. And I've got it stuck down good. Oh, no. It's all right. We'll work on it. We will work on it. So we can get our pokey tool out. Just need to break up those fibers. It's okay if the paper tears just a little bit, because I can always put more adhesive on and glue them back down. I just don't have any other shaker domes to replace this one, so okay. I think we've got it. By golly, George, we did. Okay, perfect. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here to the back, and I'm going to lift up that piece, but I'm only cutting off just about a little over 1/4 of an inch, 3/8 maybe, right where this little notch is in the jar, and I'm going to do that on both sides. So and then it'll pop off the whole thing. Well, okay then. I just want to cut that little, just that little amount off of there. And then I will put the rest of that back on. We just need that little piece. I just want to expose a little adhesive. So then what we're going to do, we're going to take our linen trim, and I'm going to probably take about a good 6 inches or so and leave it hanging out, maybe even 8 inches. And then we're going to wrap this around probably about 5 times, I think it'll go. Yep, 5. 5 was the magic number. And then I'm going to pull all of this on the back, scrunch it up together so it's pretty good. And then I'm going to tighten it. And then the first thing I'm going to do when I turn it over to the front is I'm going to actually tie that in a knot kind of off to the side, just so that it's not going to come loose at all. Okay, so it's pretty tight. And then I'm going to tie a bow, just like I'm tying my shoes. Which is why I wear flip-flops. And house slippers, so I don't have to tie bows. Okay, pull your tails to get your loops where you want them. And then we're going to pull our strings together. I didn't want you to do that. So once you've got your bow loops, the size or you want them, then just pull your loops tight again to tighten it just so they don't come apart. And then we're going to grab our 2 string ends here. I'm going to lift this up so you can see. And then I'm just going to choose a spot and trim it off. And that looks good to me. Okay, now because I tore paper, you won't have to do this with yours because you're going to follow the directions and watch the video first and then make the card so you don't make the same mistakes that I do. But I'm just going to add, I do need those scissors, a little tear and tape. We are going to stick it down really well, so I'm just adding a little bit of tear and tape on either side of that jar, just so it sticks down and the paper's not looking like it's trying to fly off. I should write down my own directions for myself just to make recording smoother, but I don't take that extra step, and I probably will start doing that. Or at least highlights a little summary for myself. You know what, I'm going to add a little tear and tape too. So let me take the release paper. I'm going to use my pokey tool, get between my layers. I'm going to take the release paper off of what's here. And then I am going to go ahead and add some to the top and bottom. And there you go. Add a piece to the top and bottom. And then I'm coming back and when I come in with the scissors, the corners are rounded, so I'm just trimming the adhesive so it's not sticking out somewhere I don't need it to be. If this gums up your scissors, just whoosh them with a little bit of an alcohol wipe or baby wipe or something and just glue on a cotton swab. Clean them up a little bit. Alright, I'm just peeling the release paper off of those pieces we just added. Now I'm going to clean up my little wall piece there, the back of that. You have extra Designer Series paper under here on this bottom part, so it's really not going to matter a whole lot. Boy, that piece wants to stick to me. Okay, now we're going to take our jar with our linen trim. Make sure our bow is out of the way. So let me set that side down first. Grab all of our bow and our tails. And then we're going to squish it down. All right. Now we can remove the rest of that release paper from the back of our jar if you want. You don't have to, but it'll just help it all adhere since that linen thread's right there. And then we are going to layer that right in the center of what we've already got. Oh, it's coming together. All right, now we are going to grab our stamp set. We're going to grab the tall bouquet of flowers. Either one will work. I'm going to use a different one this time than I used the last time, just to show you it works either way. So, mount that on my block. So, in my original, I used this flower here, this bouquet. But for today, I'm actually going to use this one. So, I'm just showing you that either one will work. And then I'm going to pick a sentiment while I'm here. Get that mounted on a block as well. Go to congratulations. That sounds like a good one. It's a long one though, so we're using our long block today. Okay, now I'm going to I'm going to set my card aside for a moment. I'm going to grab my two pieces that are left. This one's the Whisper White 2x3 and my 3/4 inch by 4. And I'm actually going to use the wood side. So I'm going to grab this is basic gray for my color. I'm going to stamp my sentiment on my wood first. And get that. I'm going to try to get it good and centered as best I can. Don't worry about it if it's not straight. There's tricks for that too. Okay, I'm going to grab my scissors. And I'm just going to trim them off straight. Just shortens up that banner a little bit. You could do banner tails. However, I'm not going to in this case. But if you were, you just want to leave enough to do your banner tails. And then I'm going to grab this before I even do my flowers even. And I'm just tucking that underneath that ribbon. There's no adhesive on there. You just want to make sure that the end of your wood strip doesn't stick out further than your card, so it's just tucked under there. If you want to, you can pull this up a little and then secure this in with some adhesive, or even a glue dot would work in that case. Let me see if I have, yeah. I do have my glue dots here. Let's see if I can show you that process. So I'm just going to unroll my glue dots, my paper on it. I'm not even taking it off the card to do this. And then you're just going to stick that down. And then it won't go anywhere. Not a requirement step. So it is not listed in the instructions, but it's totally optional. Alright, so now we do have our mat underneath of us because we are using photopolymer stamps. We are going to grab that tulip stamp. I'm going to ink it up well. You could use your Stamparatus here, just if you were concerned about stamping straight. I'm going to go ahead and stamp it down, count to 3, count to 5, give it some time for the paper to drink the ink, and pull that up, and that gives me a great image. I pretty much don't need to use Stamparatus when I do it this way. Alright, so now that stamp done. Put him away. My desk is very small, so if you can't see or can't tell, I like to put things away as I go. Once I use them, clean them, and put them away, because otherwise it just gets a cluttered mess on my desk. So those of you that need help with organization or cleaning, let me know. I'll be happy to give virtual moral support in any way that I can. I've learned a lot of things from some really great ladies that have taught me a lot. And one of my favorites for myself, that I've just done it my whole life, I think, clean as you go. I think that was Mama and Grandma and everybody's grandma at that point. All right, so I've got my stamps clean and put away. So we are on our last step here. Put Mr. Chamois away. And now I am going to grab my dimensionals, because we'll need those in a moment. I'm also grabbing my watercolor pencils and supplies for that. So I'm just going to highlight and focus only on the tulips in this set. I'm using Flirty Flamingo watercolor pencil, and I'm going to color really dark. I'm only scribbling. I'm not worrying about being perfect. Remember, that's what our blender pen is for. But I am being heavy-handed with the tulips themselves. Just these big, large ones right here in the front. There's only 4 of them. That's all I am coloring for now, and that's just for the purposes of video. You can choose to do more. I will probably come back in and finish this off. But then I'm just grabbing my blender pen and I'm lightly blending. Now, your color will darken and look a little, quote, muddy, if you will. And that is because we are using basic gray ink, which is a water-based ink with watercolor pencils. It's bound to happen. So now I'm going to take my Wink of Stella here. And I'm just going to, that one's, I think, ready to go out the door. Oh, yes. I need to refill that one. So this one, I'm just using that brush to almost like color in those flowers, but with light pressure so I don't get glitter everywhere. And that's how that turns out. I don't know how well. All right, what? There you go. It was there and I lost it. But you can see that will sparkle in person. More so than on camera, but each of those flowers does sparkle. All right, now we're going to grab our scissors and fussy cut. And those of you that just started groaning, no one ever likes to fussy cut, but it sure does look good. So we're going to suck it up. And thanks to my good friend Mel Robbins and her 5-second rule, we are going to never feel like fussy cutting, as she would say. But we are going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're going to do it anyway, which is good because I'm already almost half done anyway. It does not take a long time if you do what I'm doing. I'm not worried about every single detail. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm going to borrow another quote from another great leader of Craig Groeschel, and I'm going to say, Getmo. It's good enough to move on. We are now using both terms technically. 5-second rule by Mel Robbins and Getmo by Craig Groeschel. Look them up. They're very great, great, great messages and books. The 5-second rule is a really good book. Really, it could have been a lot shorter, but she included a lot of really great stories to prove illustration, and I think that was fabulous. Now, when I stamped this, on the bottom I left maybe a small little 1/8 of an inch edge there. I'm not going to worry about it. I could cut it off when I fussy cut, but nobody wants to fussy cut anyway, so I'm just going to leave it there. So like I said, I just roughly cut that out. And now I'm going to add a few dimensionals. To the back. I am actually going to pick up my congratulations for a moment. Because it's in the way. There we go. We're going to put it back down. Well, maybe. Here, I'm just going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut a dimensional in half. Put that under there. All right, there we go. That's it. All there is to it. Absolutely gorgeous. It just makes that sugar dome look like it's just sitting up against a wall when you hold it at the right angle. And this is made to look like milk glass. Absolutely adorable. Well, I'm going to finish cleaning up and I will get ready for another video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.